Yo, what's up? It's Charles J. Noonan. I just jumped off the porch with dirty glove bastards. Let's go.
All right, so we got the one and only Charles Noonan jumping off the porch with us today. Welcome, man.
Thank you. Let's go.
Yeah, man. First off, how we feeling today, man?
I'm feeling good. Growing up, I had a porch. Like I had a front. My second home we had a front porch. So getting here, man, is just like nostalgic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole concept of the show, is kind of make you feel like you're back at home, sitting on your porch, just telling stories and just chopping it up, man.
The best times.
Yeah.
The best times. Especially like after something in the house, you come on the porch and just chill out.
Yep.
And y'all talking about whatever, depending on how your upbringing was, right? You talk about the tragedy that just happened, or you talking about like something fun that happened. But the porch is where it goes down, across the country. So New York, we got our porches, we got our stoops on our brownstones.
Yep.
And it's like a countrywide thing.
Nah.
Chill out on the porch.
Nah, very true, man.
Yeah.
And you're from the Bronx, right?
Born and raised in the Bronx.
Okay.
Yep.
Any specific part of the Bronx we claiming, or?
North Bronx, all the way uptown.
Okay.
Yeah, not the South Bronx. no offense to my South Bronx people.
It's a different world down there, right?
It's the same, but it's a little different. So we claim the whole borough, right? But the South Bronx is just a little different. But it's my borough, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you still live there today, or where do you live at?
Now I live in a brownstone in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Where I got a porch.
There you
I
go.
got a stoop, yeah.
Is there a big difference between the Bronx and Brooklyn, man?
Major.
How so?
Major. If you notice, Brooklyn people, they don't claim New York. They say they from Brooklyn. You're laughing because you know it's true.
My wife is from Brooklyn, so yeah.
Y'all go across the country, they say, hey, how are you, where you from? You say your state, she say Brooklyn. They don't even claim they're not New York
That's very
City.
true, man.
So love and respect to BK. Bronx is my borough, but it is different. It's culturally, it's different. The upbringing is similar but different. And I think one thing that sums it up is just like the KRS song, where he says, Bronx be creating it, Brooklyn keep on taking it. Love to Queens too, but it just defines the boroughs differently, because they really are.
Yeah.
They really are, yeah.
So talk about your upbringing in the Bronx then.
Man, it was rough, right? First home growing up in the projects. Second home we moved in with my grandmother. That's where I guess I'm gonna say Bronx people, when you fall on hard times, you gotta go back to mom's, right? So single parent household, grew up with my mother, brother, and two sisters. And it was a really small house, and people would think that it was cool because we lived in a house, but it was surrounded by projects on each side, right? But then my uncle and his family fell on hard times. So they had to come into the 3-bedroom house.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it's me, my brother, two sisters, my mother, my grandmother, whose house it was, my uncle, and my two cousins.
Sheesh.
And then just like most black families, bro, we got the sick aunt in the living room with the oxygen tank, right? That's just like a national staple. You laughing because you know it's true. So, but we didn't acknowledge it as poor, because when you think about being young and hanging out with your cousins, like when y'all don't live together, y'all love the hell out of each other. You run to them, you grab them, like y'all are like this, right? So living with them in my mind wasn't bad. It's just as I grew older, I realized like it was way too many of us in that house.
Yeah.
Small house too. And we had a dog.
True.
Wow.
Never a dull moment in that house, huh?
Never. No quiet, no peace and quiet. I didn't have my own room or sleep in a bed by myself until I went to college.
Oh, wow. Phew.
Yeah. My mother and sister shared a room. My sister and grandmother shared a bedroom. Yeah. So rough times, but I gotta tell you, like, the spirit was always high. Like, we didn't claim defeat. although my entire life, my entire upbringing to probably 17 was that one house, we just didn't claim it like permanently. It was like, all right, we gonna move. All right, we gonna move. It didn't happen as we got older, but it was like never like, yeah, my mom's was never just cool with that.
Yeah.
So.
And you went to college in New Jersey, right? At Caldwell?
Yeah, Caldwell University, street ball player. Luckily got picked up by like a local community school in the Bronx that happened to play the school that I went to. And they were like, oh, we need this kid. What is he doing here, right? They were trying to take me, at the scrimmage. And the coach was just like, let me get him for a year. So I ended up going to Caldwell University, and that's one of the things that really changed my life. I have to say that was my off the porch moment.
Okay.
Because like my environment, I was just a product of my environment in the Bronx, right? When I got there, I learned like good financial habits, good credit habits. It was a private school, like $40,000 way back, right? So financial literacy, these good practices, right? So when those credit card companies would come to my college, they would get kicked off the campus. Remember they used to offer you like a keychain for your social and give you like a $300 credit card and mess up your whole credit in college, right? Yeah. They would get kicked off. The players, most of their parents own businesses in the community. So they would teach me like, Charles, if you don't have money for something, like you can't have it. You just kind of do without it. Mm-hmm. And that's where I started to learn about credit, financial literacy, best practices on like finances. And it was a culture shock, but it was one of those shocks that didn't hurt because it was my environment. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's living off of chicken wings and taking food home from the cafeteria. So I didn't feel it again. It just became a norm to me. So when I came back home from school, I was like, yo, why y'all credit messed up? So everybody else's, right, stayed in the environment. Credit was shot. Parents got shit in their name, which is how I got into real estate too, man. But it was like I realized where the environment I was in was automatically giving me separation from how things were on my block in the Bronx.
Yeah. What'd you get your degree in at Caldwell?
Social studies. So
okay.
Early childhood education and social studies. Again, environment. So my older two sisters were teachers. They were making $38,000 a year. And they were like, Charles, you should be a teacher because you're like really good with kids. You're just like really cool with people. And when I graduated college, I got a job with like $45,000. So I was like, yeah, screw y'all. I'm making more than both of y'all anyway. So I didn't do it, but it just shows, man, and I don't fault like people in my upbringing, right? My sisters were like, you can have the summers off and you get off at 3:30. I was like, yeah, right? Because that's all we knew. When I got to college, they were like, they worked in their parents' businesses over the summer. But for the most part, they were like, yeah, you're gonna open a business and you're gonna do whatever you want. And you structure your life out like that. So I got like one of the coaches got me a job out of college. I didn't want to go overseas because the previous players, like it was horror stories.
Really?
Yeah, so you go to Ireland, they say you get like a 3-bedroom house or whatever. Guys that were like senior, like, upperclassmen were like, dude, I'm in a room. There's no lights here, right? The places that they were going. So back then, overseas wasn't like it is now, where you legitimately can communicate with home and be like, yo, this ain't what they told me. It was like, you don't see the person until they come back home.
And then they bring these stories back.
And then they bring the stories like, yeah, London ain't that. It ain't like, yo, they got 4 teams. The mob is running the league, right? It's wild. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna start my career.
And what job did you get out of college?
I worked at the Arc of Essex, Association for Retarded Citizens. And I think naturally, being that like my upbringing was, we were poor, but my house was like the house on the block where everybody would come to. So my moms would really like feed everybody on the block. Everybody, like my house was the hangout. So everybody would just come through. She would offer people stuff, even though we really ain't have it. She was just offering just because it's the right thing to do. So like little quarter water juices, she lay them out for the kids. Ices, right? She bringing them out. And I'm like, it's just like a nurturing thing that I adopted from my upbringing, just like caring. And when people come to your home, like you offer them stuff, right? You wanna, it's just like etiquette to offer and things like that. So I got a job like as a job developer. It's like my first sales job as like a job developer, placing people in like these jobs. So
yeah, did you enjoy it or?
It was the best job I ever had.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was the most. And it, you know, as you follow people's lives, right? There's reason and purpose behind. When they really get into purpose of what they do, it's not just because they thought about it out of their head and they said, I want to do this. It's a chain of events that happen to where they really get into this purposeful, fulfilling space in their life, and they get this comfort level. So I knew I wanted to do something fulfilling. I knew I wanted to do something that had impact. So my job was to place individuals that had developed, the term today is developmentally delayed, right? And find jobs for them because they just had this mental disability, but physically they were fine. So if you ever see like in Dunkin' Donuts or a supermarket, the people pushing the cart, like putting the carts back or whatever, and you know like something's a little off with them, but they're physically capable to carry out some things. So that was my job, and I'm gonna tell you, those people were so gracious for 2 hours of work a day, 3 hours of work. Like they would be there, I pick them up, they'd be dressed, shirt tucked in. One worked at Dunkin' Donuts, like stuff was tucked in, everything. And it made her so happy. And for me, I got her the job. So now internally, right, I'm feeling like Superman. Because I'm picking up this super happy person who has this disability, but like I'm making her life, I'm changing her life. So I had a job like summer youth employment. They have this thing in New York called SYEP, summer youth employment, where you can work at like 16 or something. And I loaded trucks at UPS, but I got it through an organization. So when I got my degree, the organization called me and they had a similar position. It's called Henry Street Settlement, Lower Manhattan. They had a similar position in a battered women's shelter. And so I just moved over to New York, transitioned, and I started doing that job. It was much closer. And I knew I wanted to get into real estate because as soon as before I left college, my family bought a piece of property in my name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Announced to me, but kind of unannounced to me. They asked me for my social. They were like, we needed to get approved for a house. I didn't know they was gonna buy it and start renting it out, right? I'm a basketball player going into my senior year. I'm not really thinking too much into what's going on at home. And then it was tax time. So I'm looking at my taxes and I'm like, yo, I made $48,000 a year, right? They had Section 8, getting checks and everything. And I didn't get no money from it. And I was like, yo, how y'all make this money and I'm starving over there? Like, yo, basketball ain't what it was. Scholarship basketball is not what it was 20 years ago, right? You literally got laundry money and you just had to make it, right? You had to make it. I went to a private institution, so it wasn't like they was throwing money at us. So I was a little hurt behind that. but it kind of fueled me. And a part of my mind was like, well, if they could make $48,000, and I know they ain't do nothing. Like one person was still working, the other was just like just chilling, right? So when I came home from school, in my mind, I was like, I just need to get enough money for that program, right? Because I had good credit, right? Mm-hmm. So I was just like, I just need enough money for that one program, FHA, where you put $3,000 down, right?
Okay.
3%. So I was like, I just need enough money to get to this program, and I'm gonna just get houses, and I'm gonna get like 5. And then I'm straight, right? So I'm gonna say an uneducated mind or an unformed mind can go anywhere, right? It's just moldable. So I'm like, all right, my whole concept is like, I'm going to create this life where I don't have to work. I get 5 houses, that's $150,000, or actually $200,000. And I don't got to do nothing. So that was like my mindset very early out of college.
At what age did you buy that first house then, or that first property?
It took me a year.
Okay.
And I did it with my 2 friends, like my college roommate and another close friend of mine that I grew up with.
Okay.
And we kind of split it. I own 50%, they own 25. And that's how I got into the game of real estate. I didn't know anything. But you know how when you got a little attitude and you don't care, you just like how they do that? So they took my name off, because I'm like, yo, like y'all ain't breaking no bread that get my name off of it. So eventually between that time and when I came home back from school, my name was off. So now, of course, I couldn't ask them like, yo, how y'all, like, what program y'all use, right? I couldn't do that because it was such a negative like feeling. So I muscled up the money. I had $8,000. My 2 friends have 4, and like we literally like saved. Like we saved everything to get this house, and we chopped it up. It was a rooming house. We did everything wrong. Everything wrong. We chopped it up to a rooming house so it could make sense financially, right? We got 3 people upstairs, we got 3 in the middle, we got 2 downstairs. We collecting $125 a week rent.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we showing up every Saturday. Obviously in New York City, you have to get a license for, it's called an SRO, for a single room occupancy house that has to be approved by the environmental board, right? So in that position, you know, you get a little skirmishes and stuff because people can't pay. You got to throw some mattresses out. You got people in the basement, they threatening to report like the house. It just gets crazy. So we actually scaled that model though, because we're getting paid so much money. Then we ended up selling the properties. I sold most of mine when the bubble popped, like the real estate bubble burst in like 2010, 9 and 10.
Okay, yeah.
So I got out because I bought them at like 200,000 and we sold them like 400, 425. Oh, wow. Yeah, we killed it. But the model, it was like a full-time job. Because you got to think, you got 8 people living in a house, right? 8 different people, boyfriend, girlfriend. Some rooms are kind of big, so you got a little kid in there too. And it was a challenge. It was worth the money, but it was a challenge the whole time. So when we got a chance to get out, we all hopped out.
Oh yeah.
And we hopped out unscathed too. God bless, man. We hopped out unscathed because the war stories from now, they're just getting reported now. You hear about landlords getting like shootouts with tenants, stabbings, people beating landlords for 2-3 years rent. Landlords today are paying tenants $100,000 to leave, right? So the fact that we got in and got out at that point unscathed is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's just a blessing, man.
Did you jump right back in and buy another property afterwards?
No, I was just an entrepreneur, right? I was just an entrepreneur. I ended up then going into corporate America, and I spent like 7 years in corporate America. I bought my brownstone in Brooklyn, killing the game, right? From a corporate perspective, right? I was killing the game. And then one day I realized like I got 2 kids, regular basketball player, athletes like me, right? They ain't like super scholastic, they're not super smart, average scores on the SAT, average students, but fun upbringings, really good character kids. Then gentrification hit Brooklyn, and it hit it hard, right? Barclays Center comes in, downtown Brooklyn changes. They renaming neighborhoods now, right? And the housing market went crazy. So now the house that I bought at $750,000 is worth $2 million. So one might be like, yeah, that's cool, it's dope. But on the other hand, I'm like, whoa, my kids can't afford to live in New York City anymore, right? So it really scared me more than anything, because I know like keeping the family close, the family structure, being around each other, like we're really tight, close-knit family. So I really was scared at some point. And that's what got me back into real estate. I was like, if I could just find some properties for them, like just rent them out, 1 bedroom, a 2, if it's a 2, rent it out as a 2-bedroom. If it's a 2, like a 3-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, whatever, just buy them and just rent them out. And then the concept in my mind was to just generate passive income for them, so that if they wanted to live in New York, by the time they graduated college, they'd have money coming in to where they could afford to live there comfortably. And that's when I found land bank properties.
Okay. And explain what a land bank property is first off.
So a land bank is a government entity whose sole purpose is to turn problem properties into properties of productive use. So they'll go to the hood where there's vacancies, high crime rate, low property values. They'll create a deal with the county to say, hey, give us these houses. We're gonna sell them to individuals that are looking to with the agreement that they're gonna renovate them and bring them back to productive use. But you gotta wipe away like the water bill, the tax bill, everything that makes it non-desirable for an investor. Because they realized no one was gonna buy them if it's gonna cost $80,000 and they're only worth $120. It's like a developer could just go anywhere. So I'm looking on Zillow, and I saw the Detroit Land Bank, and they had houses for $1,000. I was looking to just get like $50,000 houses anywhere in the country. It didn't even matter to me. I'm just like, let me just go grab some of these and just build them up slowly and build a portfolio. And I found houses for $1,000 in Detroit, and I went crazy. I bought first I bought like 2, and then I bought a block, and I started to realize like how hard it is to renovate those, and how much of a struggle it was to just like complete this simple model. As a parent that I had, it was like y'all making me pay, like seriously. So I've started to, so everybody in New York is asking me like, yo, put me on to Detroit. Like, what you got going on? Like, you got 8 houses, like, show me how. Not knowing I'm getting my ass kicked in Detroit. Like, they handing it to me. Contractors is ripping me off. The city is kind of screwing up some bills. The power department. It's just wild. It's just not ready for out-of-state investors. It's not investor friendly yet at this point. So I really couldn't teach it back. I couldn't put nobody on, but I'm still fighting and going through it, right, at the same time. But it looks good from the outside. They're like, yo, see, how many houses you got now? I'm like, 8, right? They like put me on. I'm like, man, please. Like you don't want no parts of this. So eventually, I found like a decent crew and started to find my way, and I started to like show my friends, and they started to do it too, slowly and safely. And you know, like when you showing somebody something or you teaching somebody something that you care about, you almost monitor it with them. So a book came about because they needed like a manual of how to do it. So I just threw an ebook together. It was just a regular book, put it together. I'm like, yo, you have to follow these steps safely. And then I started teaching like land bank houses and stuff and how to navigate. Because people was asking me too, so they were featuring me and stuff. I was meeting with the C-level people at the land bank because they liked my work, but I was like, yo, y'all gotta fix this process. It's kind of crazy. I literally put work in with chief operating officer and the likes to smoothen out the process for land banks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're all over the country with this too, right?
Yeah, man. So just to explain the land banks too, I think I got off topic. So they create these deals with the county and then they sell the houses dirt cheap. The exchange with the county is that they're gonna turn on the lights, the water, the gas, the utilities, and pay taxes. So the county now gets the benefit, and then investors could get the benefit of owning a home at $1,000. You got to put the money in to renovate it, right? But then purpose came up again because I realized the work that I was doing in Detroit was like the neighbors were embracing me like crazy. The neighbors were like watching over the house for me. They would start calling me in the morning, hey Charles, is this your van? Are these your guys coming? Like they were starting to look out. And then I sat with them one day and they all just came and they thanked me for the work that I was doing. And I started to get that feeling like, oh shoot. So at first I was in it for profit, but I realized it had so much purpose. And then teaching other people or showing other people how to do it, again brought that feeling. Because we just don't know where we could get a house for $1,000, where we could get a house for $3,000. So I started to get more like in a comfort zone with what I was doing. And then I really started to research. So here's another thing too, I want to just let you know. There's a saying that says the fastest way to get what you want in life is to help other people get it. It's to help other people do it. So I always used to want 100 houses, right? Because I'm ambitious, right? I'm ambitious. So I wanted 100 because I found a way to scale the model. I was stuck at 34 doors in Detroit. I was wrestling, fighting, like I gotta get to 100. I gotta get to 100. And until I started to teach people and show people, I never could get over like that 34 door mark. But what happened was, right, and this is all about environment. Remember, like my first environment change or shift changed my life. The second one that changed my life was me bringing 50 people in a room and saying, hey, we're gonna do land bank properties this way. They were like, well, I got a land bank too. And I'm like, where you live? They're like, Indiana. I'm like, you do? How much are the houses? They're like 300. I was like, write that down, right? So my assistant, I'm like, hey, we got to tap into that. And they started teaching me because I'm one person who's managing like a household at home, renovating properties in Michigan from New York. And it was like, I didn't really have the time to scale my bit. Like I maxed out as far as capacity. So creating an environment of individuals who are doing the same thing, although they're looking at me for help, they're also helping me. So I started learning about land banks in Indiana, Pennsylvania, Birmingham land bank, who I'm like gung-ho about. Detroit, Saginaw, there's so many land banks. Houston has a land bank, right? And they selling properties dirt cheap that people just don't know about. So I went crazy. I finally, and they $300-400. So when I say I have a portfolio of over 400 properties, I'm not saying it to say I got like a $1 billion portfolio. I'm saying it to say like, oh, I'm smart enough. I got them at like $400, $500, $600. Some are houses, but for the most part, like the amount of land that I own is ridiculous. But it only happened because I started to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we put together those wild and crazy auctions that you see.
Yeah, I've been seeing these on your IG page, huh?
Yeah, man. So that's where I think like, so financially I got like stable and set, and the mission to like set my kids up happened, And for me personally, it happened for me financially. So now I'm more so in a place of purpose and helping people, and it's life changing, man. I don't know if you've seen any of the testimonials, but people cry because like we don't know where to buy land. Some people just like, people are like forgotten about. A lot of focus in America be on the kids and the future, but there's like this mid-30s range where they're learnable, like they still want it. Environment may not have been able to help them get to where they want to be. So they reach out, I start educating them, and they're so thankful, bro. Like super thankful and grateful. And that's where, when we go to an auction, it comes out. And they wild out, man. They like, they be chanting, buy the block, because they're neighbors, right? We actually structure it to where we buy properties next to each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it gets crazy.
And what's the turnaround time from finding a property, buying it, to renovating and having it all set, ready to go?
It depends. So let's just say, from buying a house based on the condition, it could be like 90 days to, let's say, 120 days. It used to take me a lot longer, and it all depends on the condition of the property. Some are in good condition that don't need a whole lot. Some are just horrible. I teach that every single property that you get from a land bank, expect to do a gut renovation.
Okay.
So none of them are good looking, right? They're all just haven't been lived in at least 6 years.
Oh, wow.
So just to manage expectation, right? For $1,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, you're not getting anything that's worthwhile, so to speak, right? If that could paint the picture.
Yeah, the value is probably in the land itself.
The value's in the land, and the value is when you bring it back, when you renovate it and put the money into it and bring it back. So now we get the luxury in Shelby County, Tennessee, right, which is where Memphis is, of buying a house for $3,000, $4,000, renovating it, and once you renovate it, the value is now $250,000, $260,000, right? But you have to do the work, and you have to, some paperwork that you got to do to get a land bank house.
Yeah. And how much is a usual renovation? Like, do people come out of pocket with this? Is there loan set up for this?
It varies, yeah. So land banks they all have the same purpose, but they're structured different. Some will let you take a loan on the house, some will not. Some they want you to have the money up front.
Okay.
Or at least, they want you to have the money, or at least a letter of credit that credit worthiness to renovate the property.
Yeah.
Some have a more strenuous protocol where you have to show your contractor, your plans, and everything else. It's all worth it, though. Yeah. But I gotta say this, man. The last year, I've been focused on developing, and it's so much easier. Like, the more we learn, the more you entrench yourself in something, right? The more you just stay locked in on something. I'm gonna say probably the last year and a half, I've really been focused on developing, which is just buying the land and building from the ground up. It's so much easier, so much easier. But it's like this unturned stone in our community where they don't teach developing. Nobody, it's like, why would you tell somebody that they could build a house for $150 and sell it for $350 on Zillow? Like, who's gonna be like, yo, bro, you doing it? Hey, go to Costco, right? That's the whole concept, right? I just left the airport, $6 for a water, right? And the culture at the airport is to pay $6 for a water. That's just what it is, right? It's just normal. The reality of it is it's the same concept with real estate, but we just don't think of it that way. You can buy the land, go to Home Depot and buy the materials and have your team put it together. And every Home Depot across the country, the prices are very, very similar for the materials you need, right? The lumber, the roofing materials, the flooring, they're all within pennies of each other, right? But for some reason, man, I be mad. I'm almost a little mad at the developers out here today that's not teaching this stuff. So lately, I've been focused on teaching people to develop. That's the highest level of real estate, right? We don't hear a lot. There's no there's no black face of development, right? We got maybe like your Don Peebles, your Bob Johnson, like the developers, the tycoons, the moguls, but they don't got no book saying, yo, man, just do this, right? So I've really been focusing on teaching development.
Yeah.
I even like it more than renovating properties, because when you renovate a property, no disrespect to my fix and flippers, right? Because y'all out there doing y'all thing. But when you renovate a property, like you got to tear the roof off, you got to redo the roof, you got to rip up the floors to do floors, you got to redo. It almost takes double. So I built my first house in 72 days, ground up.
Wow.
Like from clearing, foundation, framing, the blackout phase, which is the roof, and boarding it and wrapping it. Electricity, wiring it took 2 days, plumbing took 2 days, drywall 2 days, paint, I feel so mad but happy that they never told us this, right? Like nobody said, man, just go build one. Right? They never told me. The contractor's just gonna keep taking your money and taking your money and taking your money and fixing a house from the 20s and taking your money just call me, right? The reality of it is, man, you could build a house for $150,000. You get your design from the architect. You get your design from your architect, which normally is like $1,500, maybe $2,000. You can literally take that same design to Home Depot, and they'll give you an estimate. It's called a takeoff. They'll give you an estimate for everything you need for the house.
Oh, wow. Shoot.
Crazy, right?
Yep.
Because they have everything. So they do this for developers. They do it for builders. They just don't talk. They don't tell us. They just don't tell us.
Now, your properties, you're holding these for the long term, right? Or do you be flipping something?
Developing is really about selling it.
Okay.
There's so much money in it. So if I'm buying for $150 and selling for $250, $280, and here's the thing, you get to pick based on your pockets, right? You get to pick where you go buy the land based on how much you can afford to build. So I want to go to Florida and buy land for $100,000 and build a house for $250 and sell it for $8. I'm a little bit bigger in the game. If I'm new, I could go to outskirts of Atlanta, right? Macon County, for example, buy land for whatever, $3,000. Macon County Land Bank's a good land bank too. Y'all should go to Macon County Land Bank, Google it. You get all the information. They have auctions the first Tuesday of every month. You can buy the land there, build your house for the low, right? And sell it for whatever they sell for in Macon County.
Sure.
So that's like the lower end. And you can graduate on up.
Yeah.
But the concept is there's greener grass in real estate than dealing with them contractors, man.
No, absolutely.
And here's the safe thing, not to cut you off, right? Here's the safest thing. I'm so passionate about this because I've been ripped off so many times by contractors, right? I don't know if you could tell, bro, but when you do work with a contractor, they be asking for some of the money up front. Sometimes they be asking for 50% of the money. They be like, I gotta pay my guys, I gotta buy materials. A lot of times that relationship gets shaky right there because you just gave somebody $8,000, right? And now you hoping they show up and do the work, right or wrong?
Yep,
right?
That's true.
Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. If you don't like it, you gotta argue and go back and forth with them. With developing, this is how it's structured, and it's such a safe game. They have the plans, right? They got foundation, flooring, plumbing, landscape, site plan, they got the plans. They, let's just say, do the foundation or do the footing for the foundation. Inspector comes, gives you a green sticker saying that you passed, you're ready to pour concrete. They submit that to you, then you pay them. Mm-hmm. Safe, no worry free. They pour the concrete. I don't care if they poured it right, because they're not getting paid until the inspector passes and approves them for framing. They give me the green sticker, Charles, we pass, all right, pay. Framing, like this, is worry-free. And this is the stuff that they just never taught us, that I'll be so mad, man. I can't wait till when I speak to developers. I'm gonna be like, yo, who you teach? Who you taught this? I don't care what you built, how good it looks, how big, who you taught this to. Is really my whole conversation when I be talking to them, because it's like, yo, y'all made all this money for so long and y'all ain't teach nobody? Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So I don't be looking up to no developers no more.
Nobody.
Unless they got a book, a manual, a class at the Y, like you have to have told somebody, because that's where all the money is. All of it is in development. All the people we know, I even gotta say Trump. Like, yo, as much as I'm trying not to, right? Yo, Donald Trump was a major, big-time developer, right? His parents, his father, when we respected the hell out of them, it was because of their real estate company. As developers, right? Building skyscrapers, building buildings. That's where their notoriety came from. That's where their wealth and their money came from. So it's like, I feel like tasked to put people on and teach development lately, or at least just tell everybody, man, go try it. You almost can't mess it up.
It just may take longer than expected, right?
Not even. It'd be faster sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, it'd be faster sometimes. To close on land is like that, right? The banks don't cost anything. And then the loans to close on for development are much faster, because the banks aren't paying anything until it's completed. So their investment or their risk level is minimal, right? So they're leveraging the land, cool. You paid $6,000 for the land, cool. That's on you. The foundation, 20 grand. All right, at this point, it's going to be worth 40. The framing, you get the frame up. All right, that's worth 80. They're only going to give you like 40 at that time, right? So they're always ahead. So if you default, which probably never happens, right? The contractors usually finish their stuff. You don't really see in America houses unfinished, right?
No,
Nobody got half a house like that's just been sitting there, right? They get that money. So I'm challenging people in my group to see if we could even do it faster than the modular home model, which is order it, like spec it out, do the concrete, get it delivered. I'm challenging to see if I could build with my 72-day model even faster than they can get like a prefab delivered.
Yeah, that would be something right there, yeah.
Yeah, because it's all systems and processes. Obviously, you got to have the team in place. So my builders are dope, right? They kicking ass for me. We're on our third property, but they're dope, man. And I think it's a matter of if we could scale this model, right, what it would do for the minorities in the country and giving them a chance to like turn their stuff around. And it's an industry where you don't need like college degrees, right? They don't care about your background. Even the lending institutions don't care. They care about where the property is, what are the other new builds sold worth in the neighborhood. So I think it's an opportunity for everybody to make money.
You mentioned Birmingham a couple times. What's going on in Birmingham right now?
I'm loving it, man. Birmingham, I took a liking to Birmingham when I went. Growing up in New York, we got pockets and neighborhoods where it's all minorities, right? And New York is a melting pot. So you got this ethnic group in this area, this one here. Everybody's like spread out. We live together, but they're spread out. Birmingham, Alabama has disinvested communities. They have land banks, they have land. The downtown area is it's developed. They got money, and then it's all like minority owned. It's 90-something% black. I could be wrong. I feel like 90% black, right? And I feel like they've embraced the work that I've done so much. Extremely nice. The vision is there. They just haven't had any investment in that community, in that city, in so long. I feel like it was forgotten about. But when I date back to our history, let's just say our history in the North, we all have roots in the South to some extent. So me personally, I got roots in Birmingham and in Alabama. So it's like I feel like that's a city that I could call my own. So I've been going a little crazy, man. I'm doing like, so the city is supporting, right? So no offense to Detroit, shout out to the 313, the 248, what up though? They're not structured to be developer friendly. That land bank it's not there yet. And you see a lot of people talk about it, then it fades, right? They talk about Detroit, it fades. It's hard to do. Birmingham is structured, internally structured to support developers. So I walk into the mayor's office, I might have to put a phone call in, but I walk in and I'm meeting with community board members, community development, Department of Housing, and having real conversations with them. I know the people Alabama has 4 land banks. I know the people at the land banks on a first name basis. They support revitalizing the neighborhood. They want it. They hold developer summits, and it just sparked something in me where we could actually have our own city, and like I could stake a claim in it. So what I put together, right? So I teach, right? I have a following, we call the land bank team, right? So I'm doing a conference February 22nd in Birmingham, Alabama, and it's called Let's Build Birmingham. I'm gonna try to get 500 people, bro. I'm gonna try to get 500. Auctions go crazy, right? So I've had like 350, 400 people behind me at an auction, but this is gonna be a conference where I'm gonna just try to like impact the world, right? I'm gonna teach land and development. So I'm actually workbooks, like it's not gonna be fun. So there's a club called Denim. Shout out to Denim in Birmingham, right? I know the guys that own that. They're so welcoming. So I'm gonna do a mixer the night before, like Friday night at this spot called Denim. Everybody just get to know each other, network, just like have that camaraderie, get all of the fun stuff from being in the city out of the way. Saturday, we going in. Like, I'm gonna have the lenders there. I'm gonna teach how you buy it, because that's something that we just don't know, right? I'm gonna teach everything about land. I'm gonna teach the land banks. The land banks are coming close to confirming that they're gonna be there and speak too. So I'm gonna try to bring the whole city out. They love the idea and the concept. I'm gonna just try to bring all the city officials out that I know, teach them about what's going on in Birmingham. They're building they got so much money. They're building an amphitheater there, tons of new development. But this day is going to be really about learning. It's not going to be, it'll be exciting, but it's going to be like, we locking in this day. We straight, it ain't going to be a whole lot of talking. It's going to be like, what you say, Charles, look for this. It's going to be that. And I'm going to try to shock the world with this. I'm gonna try to so I've been on some news channels, and some local stuff, some notoriety, a lot of pods are calling me in to talk about it, and I'm gonna try to shake up the world with this one, bro. I really am.
It's got a lot of potential, that's for sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. My team wants to do it anyway, but it's a matter of like, all right, y'all gotta book tickets, right? Y'all gotta get your hotel rooms. Y'all gotta show up. Everybody I talk to is like, yo, 500 for you, that's gonna be easy. But the reality, like me talking to you on the porch, right? Yo, I'm nervous as hell, man. I don't know if I'm gonna I don't know. Like you just don't know until they show up.
Yep.
Then you like, yo, we did it. You know what I'm saying? You really don't know until you do it. So, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill it.
Best of luck to you for that too.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Do you have a website set up where people can, tap in with you and kind of join the land bank team?
Yeah, so typically most go through Instagram.
Okay.
It's Charles J. Noonan at Instagram. But for the conference, it's going to be letsbuildbirmingham.com.
Okay.
So that's the way we going to have like merch. Just imagine 500 people on one accord, one day, touring the city, same outfit, same clothes. You know the power that's going to, investors coming into one centralized location, it's going to be massive. So yeah, letsbuildbirmingham.com, and you can follow me for those that want to maybe get started early and start learning. Charles J. Noonan on Instagram.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout anyone out before we wrap it up here, Charles?
Man, I got a shout out off the porch, man. That's just about it. My staff, of course, but like, y'all have provided a place for people to just have like these nostalgic conversations. The interview style is fire, man. I can't even lie.
Appreciate that.
I love it. I couldn't wait to get here. So just shout out to the pod, man. Shout out to Off the Porch.
Appreciate that, man.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
All right, cool. Thank you.